This was the scene at the Euro Speedway in Lausitz, Germany 3 months ago. At the wheel, 36-year-old racing legend Alex Zanardi. As fans and his peers cheered him on, Zanardi took the track alone in hopes of symbolically finishing a race he'd started 20 long months before, a race he couldn't remember until it came back to him on the track. Did all of it come back?
No, most of it.
What part comes back?
The best ones.
Zanardi's recollections brought him back to the days immediately following the attacks of 9/11. While almost all sporting events were being postponed or canceled, the kart racing series chose to go ahead with its scheduled race on September 15, 2001 in Lausitz, Germany. For Zanardi, it was quickly shaping up to be a day worth remembering.
I think it was second lap. I had 4 cars fighting for position in front of me, and they all went down low in the turns trying to pass each other. And I just said, I went all the way up high. I went by, and I was laughing in my car.
Once upon a time, Alex Zanardi had been kart's greatest driver and its most popular figure. A champion that fellow drivers like his friend Jimmy Vasser watched and admired.
He was like a lion behind the wheel.
Alex Zanardi at the top of the hill with a brilliant move. Unbelievable.
He seemed to pull off passes at the end of the race that many guys wouldn't even try.
After winning back-to-back kart championships, Zanardi bolted the circuit in 1999. But after 2 winless seasons, he returned in 2001 in search of past glories.
Zanardi inside of Carpentier, Zanardi to second.
That afternoon at Lausitz, his victory drought seemed destined to finally end. Did you think that day, I got it?
I thought it was going to be a good day.
Zanardi right past Breck.
Leading the race, Zanardi pitted with just 13 laps to go. Charging onto the track is the last thing he remembers before spinning out of control.
Oh, and Zanardi, with a terrible crash.
I saw this car, just coming right in front of me.
Alex Tagliani had no chance of avoiding Zanardi.
When you arrive around 225 miles an hour and somebody is like, stop, by the time your eyes see it and you react, you did like 4 or 5 football field in length.
That was one of the most vicious crashes I had ever seen. And
Doctors Steve Olvey and Terry Trammell head up KART's medical staff and trauma unit.
I was almost certain we were dealing with a double fatality.
Look at him slow down. There's debris all over that racetrack.
Accidents are an unfortunate but integral part of auto racing, so there's no plaque here on the track in Lausitz to commemorate the site where Zanardi was hit. All evidence of the crash has long since been cleaned up and wiped away. But at the time of the accident, the violent nature of what happened here made it difficult for doctors to even get to Zanardi's side.
When I jumped out of the truck's still moving a little bit. I started sliding in what I thought was oil, and I ended up sliding kind of on my knees, and what I'd slid in was his blood.
What'd you see?
Well, I could see that he didn't have any legs. That was the first thing, and I realized that at least one of them was above the knee. By the time I got up to the car, I could tell that both of them were above the knee, and of course he was exsanguinating, bleeding to death.
It was like the injuries in war, where a soldier steps on a landmine. There were no pieces big enough to put back together. The legs were literally blown apart.
While Tagliani was being taken away with little more than a minor concussion and some bruises, Zanardi was on the track, missing half his body, and being given last rites by a priest.
There was a time there that I thought that Alex had passed away.
Somebody told you he was dead?
Mm-hmm. I spent, some very painful 20 minutes thinking that.
Zanardi wasn't dead, but he was barely alive. By the time he arrived by copter at the trauma center in Berlin, with a fractured pelvis, a lacerated liver, and no legs, he'd lost 75% of his blood. Doctors kept you in a medically induced coma.
Yes.
So they could work on you and also to help you recover. Do you remember when you came out of it?
It was when my wife told me about what happened.
What'd she tell you?
She said, Alex, you had a very bad accident. You've slept for 1 week, and there's something else that I have to tell you. In the accident, you've lost your legs. But the important thing is that you are alive. And my answer was, listen, sweetie, I love you too. Don't worry about my legs. It's going to be all right. We'll find a way. now please let me sleep because I'm in a terrible pain and I just want to sleep.
Zanardi remained hospitalized for 46 days as doctors replenished his blood and operated 15 times on his legs. Throughout that period, he says he never cried once. Never once, he says, did he allow self-pity to overcome his natural optimism.
When you are an optimistic guy, you always expect the best. You're not going to say, oh, that's it, my life is over.
You never thought, for example, that, like some people would I'm sure say, you never thought death was a preferable option.
No. A few years ago, I was watching a movie, Born the 4th of July is the name in English.
Tom Cruise?
There's a point in the movie where he's on a wheelchair when he's screaming to somebody because he's not recognizing what. Looking at the movie, it raised in me a lot of pity. And I said, man, if something like this would happen to me, I would not want to live. I swear to God, that's what I said, that's what I thought. But this kind of thought never came to my mind.
Was it hard to watch the tape the first time?
No.
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 Why not?
It's behind me. It happened. I can't change it.
First time I watched the tape, I mean, I had a physical reaction.
Honestly, believe me, it's not that I'm trying to impress you. That's the way I am. And I don't feel good or brave or anything for that. I just put the tape on with the curiosity of seeing the tape. And I can't say that I was laughing at it, but to a certain degree, inside I was, because after all, after what happened, I still say, hey, I'm here.
After Berlin, Zanardi was back at the starting line. So he returned to his native Italy with his wife Daniela and their son Niccolò. At a rehabilitation center in Bologna, the racing man fought hard to learn how to walk again. It was a struggle.
I found in the reality that was hitting me a completely different answer than the one I was expecting.
You thought rehabilitation, you were going to go in, get fitted for your legs, and walk out.
There you go. I thought I would just insert the key, turn it, start it, and go. It was not that way.
But in typical Speedy fashion, the champion driver emerged victorious. Doctors had estimated that to become independent, Alex would need about 18 months. It took him 3. You could do this walk without the canes.
Yes, of course. But it's harder.
Also, the canes are a better balance.
Actually, it's more to push myself forward. Right now, I'm powering my walking only with the hip movement. But if I use the cane, it's not so much the balance, but it's this.
Okay. Zanardi owns 4 pair of prosthetic walking legs, which are made from titanium and carbon fiber with a plastic cup at the knee joint and foam covering on top.
By pushing this button, makes this leg rotate.
Oh my goodness.
And it's very convenient to get dressed in the morning.
Ever the engineer, Zanardi has figured out other uses for them as well.
If you don't have any place to put your cup down, you can put it here.
These days, Zanardi spends much, if not most of his time in the beautiful city of Monte Carlo. It's here in this playground of the rich and famous where he keeps an apartment overlooking the Mediterranean. It's here where he keeps a 58-foot yacht anchored in the harbor. The name of that yacht symbolizes Zanardi's approach to life. Hakuna Matata. No worries. To see Zanardi captain his boat is to see a man at ease with himself and his life. On board, he has a flurry of activity. Even showing off a new pair of waterproof prosthetic legs that he helped design.
It's not really to swim, but it's just about the possibility for me to do things that I call freedom. 1, 2, 3.
And when he's done with those legs,
this is our Alex.
there's yet another set of odd attachments.
Get out of the way.
Then it's lunch, with Zanardi playing the informal host.
She's an amp, that's fine.
Between his boat, his car, and his ATV, Zanardi would seem to have enough motorized toys to satisfy his urges. Still, he felt compelled to return to Lausitz 3 months ago to finish what he'd started.
Why the hell, after what happened to you, would you go back there?
Well, why the hell do you have the right to question me? Why did you go back? And you don't take the right to ask a guy that is normal. It's simply because he doesn't look vulnerable to you. You look at me, I look vulnerable.
The situation makes you vulnerable, going 200 miles an hour. That's a vulnerable situation.
Let's put it this way. If I crash, if I T-bone the wall, I'm not going to break my legs. I only need a 4mm screw to fix it, you know? If I would have had an accident, everybody would have said, why did you let him do this? Of course this was going to happen, you know? But it's not. It's not. I mean, this is as bad or as good as it was before. So that's what I wanted to prove.
Operating the clutch and the throttle with his hands while one prosthetic leg controlled the brake, Zanardi turned 13 laps in Lausitz at an average clip of almost 200 miles an hour.
The checkered flag waves, and Alex Zanardi has completed his personal odyssey.
That seems, at least for now, to have satisfied his lifelong need for speed.
It is not longer the only thing in my life. I wake up in the morning, and if my son had come onto our bed and he's hugging me like this, I'm the happiest man in the world, you know. I don't think that a race win could give me that happiness.
Is life right now a lot better than you thought it would be when you were lying in the hospital in Berlin?
It's about what I thought it would be. If you are an optimistic guy, you hear. Then one day something bad happens to you. Boom! You go here. And then you get up. Then you start to walk. Then maybe there's a day where you go down a bit, but you're always coming up, you're always coming up. You prove yourself that, bloody hell, after all, you know, I got character. I am somebody. And eventually it comes a day where you do things without legs that people never thought they would do in their whole life with the full equipment, you know, and so you are back where you were, in the same line. I can't say I'm happier than 10 years ago. I can't say I'm not as happier. My life is evolving. My life is a life that so far I'm very happy that I've lived.